Introducing the author. Welcome to Dimensions Creating Characters. So, the author. A while back, I introduced a character called the Narrator, who was he was the narrator of the series, and his actual role in the story, he was a godlike entity who ran the place, essentially. Well, of course, his job was only to narrate, to record, not to interfere. This character's job, the author, he also can't interfere, but what he can do is he can write the reality. So, yes, the author and the narrator work together. The author, writes up the scenarios, creates the experiments and the simulations for this series, and of course, let me clarify, the entirety of the series is a simulation. I know, huge plot twist, so I mentioned it a while back, but I figured I'd remind people now. And yeah, it's created by these two characters, the author and the narrator, who was introduced a while back. And yeah, so, yep, as for his role in general, well, yeah, he writes the scenarios. He's got this, this very ancient looking, very, very important book of texts and scrolls and everything that he writes in. And yeah, he creates, a whole reality. And yeah, the narrator is sort of the person who goes and records it, and these two work together to create different simulation scenarios in order to achieve their goal. And of course, the goal being, also remind as well, they're trying to create the perfect person, the perfect being. They want to create a utopia for themselves, but of course, they themselves know that they're not perfect. They argue, they have their own sort of villains they have to fight themselves. So they're like, okay, we need to create a perfect being before we can create this utopia, because whatever we make is going to be ruined if not everyone's perfect. So that's their reasoning behind that. And to do so, they create a whole bunch of simulations to try and test how or what would go into making the perfect person. And yeah, that is our reality. So yep, and eventually after they do find this perfect being, they'll basically use him and they'll make themselves all into that person or something similar to that. And yeah, they'll have their utopia to live out forever, for eternity. And yeah, that is their plan. So the author helps with that, but yep, figured I'd give a recap on the role of the spirits in this realm, while also introducing a very cool character concept, the author, who is the one who writes all the realities. Every story that's in the Dimensions canon that you see on the channel, the author has written if it has to do with these specific characters. Now, at some point, once we get into the multiversal thing and everything else, you might introduce some characters who weren't written by this particular author, but everything that is in this realm, all the characters, all the, everyone, it was created by this dude. So, yep, that is the author for you guys, and I'm going to show him to y'all up close. And here we have the author. Thank y'all so much for watching. As always, tune in next time to see more characters, and have a great rest of your day.